I am Melissa. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the Director of Development over at Mountain Valley Hospice, and I work in the Mount Airy office. But I'm not going to be your speaker this morning. I brought with me Kristie Szarpa, who came to Mountain Valley Hospice in 2018 as the Director of our Palliative Care Division. And since then has worked to build that division on with hospice and to really put it out through our communities. And folks have learned a lot since she came to Mountain Valley and has worked on that palliative program. But now Kristie is our, as Randy said, Director of Practice Management and also serious illness, and you'll be learning a lot more about that in the coming days. But Kristie hails to us from Williamstown, New York. So she is, I will tell you up front, you'll know by her accent as soon as she speaks, the sweetest little Yankee you're ever going to meet in your life. Sweet as she can be. But we are very blessed to have her, and I'm going to turn it over to Kristie to tell you about her programming and what we do over here.
Thank you, Melissa. A sweet Yankee. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one yet. I appreciate the opportunity to share. I have a real passion for my work, and there's nothing I love more than talking about what we do at hospice and palliative care. So I just want to take a minute to distinct between hospice and palliative care, because I think that can be confusing for people. So you probably know hospice services are for folks who have a very serious advanced illness who are facing end of life. And usually to qualify for a hospice program, a physician has looked at a patient and realized that they probably have perhaps less than 6 months to live. That's the Medicare criteria. Our patients can be with us for years. So the idea that you come to hospice and then pass away very quickly while it happens is not what we're cut out for. We're actually supposed to be finding folks way upstream and helping them in their journey, and they can stay with us much longer than 6 months. So that's one thing we're really trying to dispel. But for folks who are experiencing a serious illness, but they're certainly nowhere near needing hospice support, but maybe they're having a lot of symptoms, and maybe they're not doing well with their treatment because the symptoms are bringing them down so much. That's where palliative care steps in. So in palliative care, we are a group of nurse practitioners and physicians who see patients as specialists. Our patients are still getting chemotherapy and having surgeries and doing all the things. There's no limitations on care. We're just another layer of care. We're another specialist who can prescribe some medication, treat some uncomfortable symptoms like pain or trouble breathing or trouble sleeping or all the stressful things that happen when you have a serious illness. So we're outside of the hospice purview. So there's a really large scope of people that we can be supporting. And we get missed along the way, I think, because people hear the word palliative care and right away they think hospice and they think end stage. So we're really working hard to kind of rewire everyone and help them understand that hospice has a lot of time in it if you make use of the services much earlier. And palliative care, there's no limitations at all. Beyond having a serious illness, we can really be a lot of help, and there's no limitations to what you can do. So we'll often, learn about people in the community who are struggling with a serious illness, and I'll say, well, why don't I know this person? Why aren't they on our palliative program? And the person I'm talking to will say, well, they're not there yet. That tells me right away that person is not understanding what palliative care is. There's no there to be. We are here and we're ready to serve. So I wanted to start by just making that distinction for everybody. But in our world of our hospice services specifically, we have partnered with NPHI, which is National Partnership for Hospice Innovation. It's so important to network. It is so important that we get outside of the community we serve and network with other hospice agencies in the region so that we're not reinventing the wheel, and so that we're sure that we're out cutting edge and that we're compliant and that we're doing everything we can do for our community. So we're part of this NPHI, and in reviewing data with them, we realized collectively that a group of folks we are missing when we do outreach and when we do admissions in hospice is the cardiac population, the heart failure population. And the thing that's really concerning about that is that heart conditions and heart failure and cardiac disease is the #1 cause of death for people in America. So isn't that interesting? The #1 cause of death, we do end of life, but yet we're not treating these people. So that disconnect was a challenge. We took it on, and in partnership, with a bunch of other hospice agencies, we've created a comprehensive cardiac care program. And what we are doing is we are doing aggressive outreach to cardiologists throughout the region over the next couple of months. We are officially launching our program in April, and we are wanting to reach out and say, you know, what are you holding back for? You have all these heart failure patients. We can help you manage these patients and help them live longer and help them live better, manage their symptoms, stay out of the hospital, and really be well managed at home. So this has been about a year in the making, this program. We were going to launch in January and got a little bit delayed because of COVID. So we are doing at Mountain Valley what we're calling a soft launch throughout the month of March, just to internally work out the bugs, and then more of an official launch in April. And we have some other partners that we're really excited to be able to announce this program, that those announcements will come in April. So I just want to kind of clarify, so who would qualify for this? I guess we call it a program within a program. So first of all, this is for hospice patients. So patients would have to be appropriate for our hospice program. And then they'd also have to have an advanced heart failure. So these are people who are, you know, medically managed. They've seen their cardiologist, they're taking all the medicines they're supposed to take, but they're still experiencing a lot of chest pain, shortness of breath, fluid in their legs, things that are really robbing them of their personhood and their ability to, you know, really fully live life, frankly. So, but those are really the folks who are going to qualify. This is not something that we enroll people in or get consent. By virtue of the fact that they're a hospice patient of ours that has a heart condition that, you know, that's this advanced, they're going to be in this, what we're calling a cohort of patients. These are patients who are, and I apologize when I look away, I've got some notes here to keep myself on track because I'm super passionate and I tend to get off on tangents. So I'm going to keep myself on track here. So these are patients who are, again, having lots of symptom burden, recurrent heart failure. And these are folks who have, for those of you who know this kind of lingo, an ejection fraction of 20% or less. And for folks who don't know that lingo, that means the pumping of the heart is pretty weak and inefficient. So they're having lots of symptoms, pooling of blood and fluids and things. Stage D heart failure with other comorbidities, which is fancy language for I have heart failure and I've got some other stuff too, maybe COPD, maybe some renal kidney problems, things like that. And then people who have arrhythmias, you know, you hear a lot about people who have atrial fibrillation or problems with their valves, or their heart just isn't working in that nice, normal, efficient rhythm that we all have come to count on. And you experience all kinds of things from that, dizziness and chest pain and anxiety, trouble breathing, trouble sleeping. So it's certainly fluid issues. So we are taking the month of February to prime up our nursing team. They all have already been trained in managing heart failure, but we're going to ensure that they have top-notch training, you know, just revamp them on their cardiac medications, how we assess our patients. We're going to provide for our patients who don't have a scale in the home, we're going to provide a scale. We're going to have them doing daily weights because just a slight change in weight, that can be a patient who on a Tuesday is having a slight change in weight, and on Friday they're at the, you know, the door of their ER, their local ER, for something that could have been prevented and managed at home. So we're also being really aggressive beyond training of our nurses and really having them aggressively assess their patients for these warning signs. We're putting what we're calling a cardiac kit in our patient's home upon admission. And it's going to have medications in it that we can emergently order. Any of us nurse practitioners or physicians can emergently order them for the patient if they are having a new onset chest pain, if suddenly they have extra fluid, if suddenly they're very short of breath. We're going to be able to give them these rapid cardiac meds to keep them comfortable. And again, hopefully avoid what really would have been, you know, kind of a useless visit to the hospital. So it's extraordinarily helpful to the community, really, especially during COVID, to really kind of keep people where they belong. And there's a time and a place where the hospital and the emergency room are entirely appropriate, and you should feel safe and you should go if that's what you need. But for some of these things that are super manageable, if you just had the right tools, it's really a great time to stay home. So it's that kind of that, you're trying to just strike that perfect balance, basically, in patient care, right patient at the right time with the right care. We have been, we've met with several cardiologists already. We're going to meet with many more of them to just kind of explain this initiative and what we're doing. Like I say, we've trained our nurses that we're even going to try to step into the waters of more advanced cardiac management. There are folks who are having to stay in the hospital because they're on a heart medication that actually goes through an IV drip and kind of keeps their heart working efficiently. And the only reason they're in the hospital is because they have to have that drip. And we're going to slowly start to move into that space of being able to manage that at the home. There's also people that have implanted devices that helps their heart function as efficiently and normally as it could. And we are going to be working with specialists to try to manage those devices at home. So that's going to be baby steps. That, we're not going to overnight have a bunch of those patients, but we are moving into that space of being that educated and efficient and able to manage those patients as well. So it's really exciting for us. I think a big piece of this program is going to be communication. I think a lot of the reason we haven't been able to reach out to these patients and partner with them and access them is because their cardiologists love them. And they don't want to feel like they're letting them go, and they don't want to be left out. They want to remain integral in their care. And I think an important thing to point out is that we aren't here to take over the patient, we're here to partner. So we would partner with the patient's cardiologist to help manage them. And that's going to mean really solid communication and just respect for what that cardiologist brings to the table. So the patient doesn't have to give up access to their cardiologist. So now certainly we're hospice, so our focus is going to be more comfort focused. And for folks who want very aggressive care, we are not the program for them. But there's this middle ground of aggressiveness, even in hospice and palliation, and we want to hone in on that and just help people to live, as well as they can, as long as they can, but from the comfort of home. Or and I want to be careful. Being in hospice doesn't mean you have to stay home. Go live your life. Go play golf, go do your thing, but we just don't want you sitting in the hospital or the nursing home if we can avoid it. So that's kind of the overview of what I wanted to share today, and I'm open for any questions folks might have.
Chris Lumsden, who's the CEO of Northern Regional Hospital, also happens to be the chairman of the board of the chamber. Chris has been in healthcare management a long time.
Thank you, Randy. I'm sorry I joined the video a little late. Just a reminder that Mountain Valley Hospice is owned equally by Northern Regional Hospital and Hugh Chatham Memorial Hospital. So I serve as the chairman of the board. Paul Hammis, the CEO of Hugh Chatham, is a board member, vice chair of the board, and then our two CFOs. So we actually serve in a governance role, and really are proud of the job that Mountain Valley Hospice, the team, Kristie Dobson, our new CEO. I say no, she's been on the board for about 9 months. Melissa, Kristie, others have done with Mountain Valley. It's a big organization, as just described, serves a large region, not only in North Carolina, but also in Southern Virginia as well. So the footprint is very expansive. We serve a census of over 400 on any given day. That's both in the home as well as in our homes in Dobson and Yadkin. And as noted, we employ several hundred caregivers. So it's a very substantial enterprise for our community, and one that we're proud to be a part of. So thank you for the presentation this morning, and what a great service that Mountain Valley Hospice provides to this community and to this region.